Welcome to my channel. I'm going to do a quick flip through of two decks that really I have no familiarity with them. I bought them many years ago and really they just kept in their box. In fact, it's been so many years. Today I just put them in order, and I don't even recognize hardly any of the images. They don't seem familiar. But I thought, that perhaps someone would like to see what the decks look like. So I will start with the Transformational Tarot by Arnel Ando. So this, what's on the box, it's a U.S. Games publication, and it has the Nine of Swords on the reverse. Sorry about the trying to minimize those reflections. So let's have a look. And I did go through the deck within the last day just to put them in order, but the images I'm not too familiar with. What comes in the box is the little white book and just one card. The deck has a real feel, to me anyway, of decks like the Tarot of Delphi. And it sort of has a feel like that to it. Comes with a booklet, and it's a typical booklet that you would get in many mass-produced decks from majority of the publishers. So let's have a look quickly at the cards. There are some changes I've noticed in the titles. Instead of the Fool, it's the Dreamer, but still symbolizes very much the same thing of our soul's journey through life, and the life is represented within the tarot system itself. So there's the Dreamer. This is the Magus, or the Magician. Now, every time, I guess it's me, in my age and vintage, but this figure, I don't know, I'm sure it wasn't meant, but he reminds me of Boy George, really. Every time I see this, I see Boy George spinning platters, being a DJ. So that sort of goes along with the meaning too, being in control, right? And as above, so below. The High Priestess is renamed in this deck the Sorceress, and it's very it does remind me of the various collage decks or art decks, such as the Tarot of Delphi. The Empress, and it looks to be a tree shaped in the form of a female body on the side there, and a figure in the back here. The Emperor is sort of a similar thing, where we have a male body in it as a tree, and the male figure in the rear. The Sage would be the renaming of the Hierophant or the High Priest cards, and I'm not sure exactly. I don't read the little white books, so if I can't get it from the image in my knowledge, then I usually just let it go. But the Sage is about teaching and sometimes dogma, but it's their spiritual path teaching. So I'm not sure. I'm sure in the guidebook it has what that is. The Lovers. So instead of the Chariot, it's the Challenge, but we have someone skateboarding downstairs, I guess. Or I guess the real challenge was try to skateboard upstairs, because that would be more of a challenge. We still have some iconography in the back, on the walls. Challenge. And in this deck, Justice is 8 and Strength is 11, and here we have the Justice card is 8. Looks like she's wearing a diaper. funny how some, first impressions sometimes color you, and sometimes it's hard to unsee what you see. So instead of the Hermit, it's has been renamed as introspection, which is a pretty good description of what the energies of the Hermit card usually bring to a spread, or bring to to the situation, is this inward reflection. Usually for a good thing, because it's we learn. Well, there's a bear in there, so maybe we learn patience, or we learn fortitude, or we learn about ourselves. This is the Wheel of Fortune being renamed Karma. Now I don't. For me, I have problems with. I think, although in my mind, fate and karma are very similar, but not the same. And with karma, there's almost not a retribution, but karma to me is more associated with the Justice card, and karmic justice, getting what you deserve, getting what is right. And whereas for me, the Wheel card is fate. So there's no a lot of times there isn't any I wouldn't say justification, but it just things. That's the way the wind blows. That's the way the wheel turns. Sometimes people go up, sometimes people go down on the wheel, but there's no judgment as there is in the Justice card. And so usually with the wheel, you want to get as close as you can to the center of the hub, because for every turn, there's so much less effect in your life at that location. There's strength, and see, I'm just looking at these images as you see them. Butterflies, transfer. It's usually a symbol of transformation, and then here we have what looks like. I guess it's drawn in, but it's cartoony. But at first I thought, is that a mask? Is this a mask that this person is wearing? But then I see, no, this is probably a depiction of an archangel battling the dragon. I think it's Michael or Gabriel battles one of the large important archangels. So this is strength. When strength shows up, that means that there has been a need for it. Reflection. So this is of the Hanged Man, and there's some depictions of crucifixion as well, and also reversal. See the word reverse in there. So things are reversed. Let's turn it upside down. See? You can start seeing witch, and then Malleus Maleficarum. And so that's kind of an interesting thing. And I'm not sure who they are. But anyway, we have this image. The Death image. This looks someone who's alive and wearing a hat, and is nothing but a skeleton. I guess that shows that after death, that life goes on, or existence goes on, or death is just a transformation. I like a lot of times the Death card. Especially, I do a lot of public readings, and I always have to start off, especially for someone I haven't read before, about the meaning of some of these scarier cards that can show up, scary on their part, like the Death card, or the Tower, or the Ten of Swords, any of those scary looking ones, Satan, the devil. And I usually have to tell them what it is, and for the Death card, it's so the decks that have it renamed as Transformation, that's probably, to me, is one of the better terms, because the analogy I usually give to people is, I think of the caterpillar. The caterpillar has to die for it to become the butterfly. So there's the death of one phase and the beginning of another, the transformation from one to the other. But it has to be done. You can't stay stuck. alchemy, or card number 14, which is usually temperance, and it's temperance, of course, has taken the middle path. We can see here sort of similar elements in standard temperance cards, except this is instead of being pouring from one vessel to another, it's being poured out. But the pond is a vessel. The Devil's an interesting card because it shows classical devil torment in the background here, but the foreground shows this very seducing individual here. So, and that's the really the energies behind the Devil card is not satanic, but it's on things that lure us off of our path in life, things that sideline us. Addictions, alcohol, drugs, too much pleasure, although that's, I guess being hedonistic isn't so great most times, but I think it's great to at least sometimes being that way. You should experience everything, but you can see where you can have the fire of lust and being trapped in that type of situation. The Tower. This is usually the Tower is I call it the kick in the stomach, the coming to a realization that what you have based some things on are not true. You made false assumptions. So whether that's learning out at your partner's having a second life or whatever, and just feels like everything now is just a lie. So it can be that, but it always exposes the truth. The Tower experiences expose fundamental truths in people's lives. Hard to go through. Who wants a kick in the stomach? But sometimes we need the kick in the rear end to get through that. So the images is kind of unusual. I think it sort of fears, some chaos, I think. Isn't that what that is? Chaos? Kali? The Star. This star is interesting because here we have the stars, but then we have this spider for those who are arachnophobic and won't like this. So, it could be in a number of ways. The star is can be about regeneration, healing. It's about, there's hope there too. So maybe this is depicting hope. We have the spider who has crafted this amazing detailed web, and I don't know whether the stars are part of that. These places around the background. No, I think they're part of the web. So all of this has been done in the hope of being nourished by catching an unwary fly. The Moon. This is, it has that. I have some other decks that medieval type of flavors to it, and that certainly has that flavor. The Moon. Moon's about dreams, but a lot of times it's about fake stuff that looks real, but in of themselves they aren't real. They're just reflections. All right, so let's have a look at the Sun. The Sun, well, very similar, and to look at both of them in context here. We see nighttime, and here, of course, we see daytime. We see child. So the Sun is all about energy. It's a very positive card. It's life. The Sun gives life to the earth. So the bestower of all good things. Let's have a look. Liberation. So this is the Judgment card. And we can see attaining spiritual and perceptual freedom. And I guess that's maybe our reflections at the very end of the hall, reflecting what we've become, maybe. And liberation from the task just completed, I guess. And then we have the big wrap-up with the world. So this does remind me of the Tarot of Delphi deck in some reason. I guess the flavoring or the atmosphere. And then we go into quickly go through the suits. So Ace of Wands, Two of Wands, Three of Wands, I guess I don't have to repeat them. Everyone can see what they are. This Four of Wands has a real flavor of the Three of Cups, though, doesn't it? This could have worked as a Three of Cups as well. Well, there's struggle. Well, this is interesting. Is this Lady Godiva? Maybe I should. I don't know what she's riding. She's on a oh no, it's a horse. Sorry, I didn't see the head up here. I was just seeing this part of it. I said, was she riding a bird? But she's riding a horse, all right. I don't know if this is Lady Godiva. But she was successful, right? In either turning back taxes or something for the people. So that is being victorious, being successful, leading people to your cause. Seven of Wands, look at this. Now, usually this is a card of defending yourself when you're right. You know, even people that are assaulting you. And taking a stand. But yeah, this is probably similar, although it looks like someone's trying to give her new music to play on her whatever this instrument looks like, some sort of violin or viola or something. Well, this is usually a card that has a lot of stuff going on, like it's like things being in the air and about to appear, like messages and mail. And it looks like she's just waiting around. So I'm not sure exactly what we're trying to convey there. The 9. Again, this is taken really, I wonder if, well, I'm just assuming that the wands are, I'm just assuming that the elements are standard correspondence, that the wands are fire, the cups are water, swords are air, and the pentacles or coins is earth. And the coloring would make me see that too, that this is that. So the 9 of Wands is usually, to me, every time when I read people and they get 9 of Wands, in the more traditional images of the Rider-Waite with the palisade or something along those lines, that person I'm reading is always what when I was growing up we used to call Joan of Arc. I don't know if that's a slight or what, but it's putting your back up. It's I'll show them. They hurt me, I'm going to show them, you know, I'm not, oh, look, they're trying to apologize, but I'm not going to let them apologize. I'll show them. It's getting that back up because you have some experience of having trauma. That's usually why those head bandages, that head bandage or some of the wound is shown on the card. But 9 times out of 10, it's the person I'm sitting across is the culprit is doing that. Sometimes we're experiencing it from somebody else, but usually we are totally oblivious. When someone else does that, let them, they're just wasting energy or their own energy, because it's usually not observed by anybody else but the person that's doing it. So they're doing it themselves. Self-inflection. Ten of Wands. Well, I guess this is about burden, or a lot of times when I see this, and I guess it's reflected in this card when I read for people. It'll be that person in your family it's talking about that everyone goes to, whether it's an aunt, a mother, an older sister, and they always give them the stuff to do. You know, Granny needs to be taken here or there, or Uncle Ted needs this or that. It's always the same people that are being asked. You know, and that's truthful for a lot of groups, no matter what we're talking about, whether it's a group in society, like a church group or a council group. There's always the same 5 or 10% of that group that do everything. The other 90 just coast along. So those are those people too. And a lot of times they can burn out because of that. Yeah. And in this deck they have Princess, Prince, Queen, and King. So Princess would be similar to the Page, young energy, naivete, a lot of times in their suit. This is an interesting one. The Prince driving a motorbike. Prince of Wands. They're very exciting. If indeed it represents a person in your spread. The Knights are, especially this Knight of Wands, is a very exciting young person. But they're impatient. So if you have a daughter whose boyfriend's coming by and not coming in, but just staying in the yard and then waiting 30 seconds, starts blowing his horn, it's probably a Knight of Wands, right? So, astrologically, a lot of times these guys are Sagittarians, but not necessarily. But most times they are a fire suit. So, you're looking at, Aries, Leo, or Sagittarius. And these guys also have a problem with impatience, too. And some of them resort to more physical means. But we all have our cross to bear. The Queen of Wands, she's a goer. She gets things done, this person. So man or woman, doesn't matter. In most times in my readings, though, queens are women and kings are men. But it's not necessarily true all the time, but a lot of times it is the sex is correct. The Queen of Wands is associated with Aries, and according, with my with the way I do my tarot astrology, is associated with Aries. And a lot of times these people, they should rely on their own intuition, because they have a high level of intuition. And a lot of times I really can't see it in this card. See if it focuses. No, I don't see it anywhere. A lot of times they have a cat depicted. And when it comes up in readings I've done over the years for people, and the Queen of Wands comes up indicating them, or someone that they know in the spread, I'll ask them, so do they have a cat? Well, that's one way you can impress people, because, boy, a lot of times they'll say, yes, they have a cat. Yeah. So I think that's I think cats are very much Aries beings. And there's the King. The Kings are have a lot of energy as well. Any of the Kings of Wands I've known in my life have been bosses or upper supervisors. They like to try new things, like to experiment. And maybe I'll go a little faster now. It's been 25 minutes. This must be getting boring. The Ace of Cups. Well, this is an interesting picture. Trying to find the cup, but Maybe at their feet. No, I don't think so. Well, that's interesting. No cup. But I guess that form, whether it's male or female, it's hard to tell, was originally a block of granite that allowed itself to be shaped. So maybe that's sort of, and you have water back here too. It's because cups are associated with water or our emotional side of our lives, our existence. Two of Cups. Twos are about offers. Something new. New friendships. Possible more. Three of Cups is, now to me, this is the, should be more of the two, really, because, it's not that there isn't three people, but the flavor of it is friends, is sharing with friends. And, when you get good news, who do you call? If your parents are deceased, who do you call? Family members. Well, you call, a lot of times you call those you want to party with. So friends. So this is, to me, this is more romantic. In Three of Cups, I don't find, although can lead to that, I don't find romantic as being a flavor of that card. It's mainly sharing, friendship, happiness, sharing good times, bad times, support. Four of Cups. To me, the Four of Cups has this, what else is there to do? Been there, done that. They have a hand pouring out a cup of red liquid. I hope that's not blood, but maybe it just means passion. So it's having your passion poured out. So that I can see the symbolism there, because that's what happens in the Four of Cups. Is this, the card's often described as boredom or ennui, which is French for boredom, but if you think about it, that's what it is. It's sort of our drive. We lose our passion. We just sort of, it's like getting the wind taken out of our sails, and we just sort of just want to just sort of curl up. Five of Cups. Well, I don't even recognize this image. Well, you can see the sadness. Everything looks so big, huh? Way up there, everything looks distant and scary, I guess. Very cold. Sometimes when we isolate ourselves, we feel this way. The Six of Cups. So this has very much the theme, the standard theme of memories, of kind memories, of really of remembering the times where we didn't have to worry about where our food came from, at least growing up in the Western world, or our safety, because that was all looked out for us. We just had feelings of security for the majority of us. And so we could just play and be kids and establish long memories. So, these are usually reflects on, this card usually reflects on childhood memories. Sometimes it'll come up when someone from the past. It doesn't have to be from your early childhood, but someone from your past or hometown or something shows up back into your life. Seven of Cups is, well, I guess the same way. Options, but fantasies, really, daydreams of what could be. I'll do this, I'll do that, I'll do the other thing. Depending. Sometimes we get lost in it. And the cards are a funny card stock, and they don't slide very well. They need to have some of that powder that you can put on cards to make them more slidey. Well, this is the Eight of Cups. This is, being... For me, the Eight of Cups is just not being satisfied with what you have now and thinking to yourself, is that all there is? And feeling there is more. And it's that urge to go find it and to leave where you are now. Sometimes this can cause a lot of problems, but you have to decide, as the Two of Swords indicates, you have to decide whether you want to follow your heart or your head. The Nine of Cups. This is the wish card, but it's pretty, blurry, and maybe these are wishes. But it's usually there's a gregariousness about the Nine of Cups, going out, living the single life, having fun, meeting people. And of course, associated with this card over the years has been the wish card. But it's hard to... I think this is the wish part, I think. Well, that looks like another deck I have. Is it... I forget now. Not the drawer. I forget. It's the one that has a lot of interesting little background scenes, but impossible to read. So decks like that, I say, okay, what is the Ten of Cups? I just ignore the image and bring up an image from my brain of one of my decks and the Ten of Cups in one of my decks. But the Ten of Cups is usually about satisfaction in life. Getting, the picket fence and the family thing going on. Some of us don't have that as a goal, but so that's why the Ten of Cups it doesn't necessarily mean, you're going to have a big family, be happy ever after, June and Ward Cleaver, leave it to Beaver. But it doesn't mean that. It could mean that. It could end up being, being that for you. But the real energy is satisfaction, coming to an emotional part of your life that you're satisfied with. I have attained it. Again, this reminds me of the Tarot of Delphi. What if one of these pictures is somehow one of the other cards? So this would be the Page or Princess of Cups. It's a pretty picture, though, very serene. And there's the Prince or Knight of Cups, and looks like we have Narcissus gazing at himself. What a handsome young man I am. So it's interesting with the Knights. The Knights are interesting cards. Most times they do not mean people. That's what I have gathered. But they do on occasion. I find that the queens and the kings most times are people. They can represent how situations are transpiring in a lot of cases, but almost always associated with people in my practice anyway. And but when the Prince or the Knight of Cups is a person, and sometimes it's a Piscean, but if it is a person, then they are always questing for love. So they're the type of I don't mean this as a slight, immature, but I mean that not fully mature, 40, 50-year-olds, although there's lots of immature them. But it's at the point where they always quest for love, so that, but they're really questing for that initial lusty love. And because these guys are here today, gone tomorrow, looking for somebody else, so they can experience that nice rush of new love. So they quest a lot, these guys. The Queens of Cups, I can go on for an hour on Queens of Cups. In my system, they are the sign of Cancer. Queens of Cups reflect. That's an interesting thing. They reflect. What do they? Let's see if there's any mirror analogies here. Don't see any. I don't know if that's her face in the mirror down there. No, I don't think so. Fish. Typical things you'd see. No, I don't see any reflection, but it's funny. Once in a while I'll give a talk and there'll be someone, and we'll talk about perhaps tarot astrology, and I'll look at we'll look at the Queen of Cups or the Cancer. Not all Cancers, but certain 2/3 of the Cancerians are dominated by this card. And what they do, they reflect back to you what they think you want to see from them. Isn't that something? That's what they do. They reflect. They're reflectors. And you see that in Aleister Crowley's deck, the Thoth Tarot, that look at the Queen of Cups. You could hardly see her, but there's a line and there's all this reflection going on. See, that's what it is. There's a secret I just told you. That's the reflection that's going on there, is that they reflect back to you what they think you want to see from them. So, and it's not that they're not being truthful or honest, but that's just the way they are. But you also have to be a little bit careful, because whether it's Cancerians or other signs, when they do that, it usually indicates they have the offense gene. You know, that they think that they should reflect back to you what they think you want from them, but they also expect that from you. That you got to reflect to them what they want to see from you. So in other words, if they buy a new car, you can't tell them you don't like the color, because they'll hate you forever. Yeah, you have to tell them what they think, what they think they want to hear from you. Anyway, it gets confusing. The King of Cups, and where's this guy? Oh yeah, it's way up here. Oh, he's on water horses. Well, it looks like he rides emotions, but really he's a controller of the emotional realm. These are interesting people too. In my system, Scorpio was applied to this card, and I found that Kings of Cups are very nice guys, very nice, but they tend to push emotions down. You know, some of them, I guess, have so much control that they push it down, and some of them have problems with drinking, being in their cups. We'll go quote. This is that looks the Ace of Swords. Two of Swords is about choices. I'm not sure. I guess the choice to stay or run, if I were her. But pretty peacock. I heard those things were bad luck. Those peacock feathers. Three of Swords is about a sadness, all right, but it's about, oh look, something got killed back there. Is that an animal, or looks like, I don't know. And death is comforting her, I guess. but this is the Three of Swords, usually about a betrayal or a sense of betrayal. It's the offense gene in its action. The Four of Swords, look at that. Fours, that looks like a coffin in the back. To me, this is not anything to do with death. And a lot of people look at it, especially with the Rider Waite Smith image, where it shows a knight stretched out on a, well, it looks almost like a coffin or sepulcher or whatever it's called, and he looks dead. But that's not what it means. I don't know whether over the centuries man has now put on the tarot cards meanings that now are true. So in other words, we made them true. So because this card often comes up for people who are going to have a medical intervention, whether it's surgery or what. But in essence, I always found that it's mainly going to be someone who needs a recuperation, needs to have a mental vacation, needs to have their batteries recharged. And I guess that's sort of, this to me has a mourning energy, and I don't find mourning with this card. We all read in different ways, eh? The Five of Swords is the card of the bully. And here we have perhaps someone like that, someone pleading, on behalf, and this person has all the power over them. Six of Swords. Well, I guess from that child's point of view and this other child's point of view, a young lady, is this, you're being rescued and taken now to a place with a lot less problems, perhaps, than the immediate problems at hand. As you can see, a rainbow. So they seem to be going that way. Very similar to the boat motif in the Six of Swords in the Pixie Smith deck. Here we have the Seven of Swords. The Seven is, to me, although this is the card of the sneak or the card of the cheater or whatever, however, to me it really is about secrets, about keeping, because the swords is of the mind, keeping your plans secret. Now, thieves keep their plans secret, so you can see how thievery is part of it. But look under there, look under just the superficial, and try to understand what I call flavors or energies of the card. Now with the Seven, there's usually this secretiveness. Well, looks like this guy's behind the bushes. Yeah, perhaps that's in interacting with her secretly. Yeah. I think those that like to read intuitively would like this deck. It is a nice deck. I mean, to me, it's not my cup of tea, and I don't like the way that the cards. I'm too lazy to fix them by putting cornstarch or something on them. But the Eight of Swords is about being confined and not knowing which way to turn. Okay, this is a fellow. First I thought he was on the train tracks, but he's just sort of on the floor. There's someone else back there. Can't really see that. But the Eight of Swords is about I find self-pitying, because yes, we could have got ourselves in that mess, or maybe someone else got us into it. We allowed it to happen. There is a way out. Stop crying and just do it. If you look at Pixie Smith's image with the Circle of Swords, there's a way out. But a lot of people, they don't want to leave. They know the answer is, for example, if it's literal, leave the situation. But they know it's too hard, so they don't leave. But the solution is there. walk a mile in my shoes, right? And this is usually I call the 3 a.m. heebie-jeebies, when you wake up and you say, oh, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? I'm going to lose my job. I'm going to do this, going to do that. And a lot of times, though, the energy from this card is that energy, but it's directed to somebody else. It's the mother waking up thinking, what's my daughter going to do? She's about to lose her job, her family, blah, blah, blah. So it's that type of fear. See, this is so maybe this is what it's symbolizing through this Nine of Swords. We have an individual here. Maybe she's the one that is having the fear. And the fear looks somebody else in danger. It looks like that's a sword about to come down, right? Looks to be. And she's oblivious to the danger. So the mother sees the danger for the daughter and is worried. So to me, that's the standard definition. It's worried about somebody else being in a situation, someone that you care for. Although it has come up worry in cards I've done for myself. Not that I'm a big worrier. Ten of Swords is about an ending. To me, Ten of Swords is trying to see if there's any people we would recognize. Look to be alien faces here. Well, people with hoods on. Oh. Wow. To me, the Ten of Swords is about finality. I know in the Rider deck, it shows the clouds coming down, and there looks like a nice sheen of brightness, and then people say, oh, or maybe the clouds are going up. No, the clouds are down. I tell people, I talk like Porky Pig. That's all, folks. Move along. Excuse me. There's nothing to see here. It's done. It's fried. Again, this is the page, Princess of Swords. To me, this is the card of people that are very inquisitive. I'll say there's the people that snoop. These can be in here. Usually they're curious. They're very curious. If they're young people or immature people, most times they're young. And I don't mean 6 and 7 years old, although can be. But these are people that have a high sense of curiosity. They like to see how things work, but they also like to see how human relations work too. So they often have their ear bent to the adult conversation going on downstairs or something, or peeping through a window to see what's going on for themselves. They have a high sense of curiosity, and you see that sometimes this Page of Swords is denoted the spy for that reason. Here we have the Prince of Swords. This guy is brash, rash, everything else, but he's your knight in shining armor. He has a high sense of right and wrong, and the fact that if he feels there's a wrong, right to your help. I didn't really talk about too much of the other cards in regard to professions and stuff, but a lot of times these guys push right and wrong, and they end up being, if you think about it, professions like police officers and the like, lawyers even, although the next lady is usually the lawyer. Again, because of their suit, they like the brainiac stuff, the logical stuff, logic. Science is logic, is on logic. Numbers, mathematics is logic. The law is logical, believe it or not. So they like logic, the Swords people. The Queen of Swords tends to be someone that comes up in the deck. To me, it always says, well, if we're not talking about a legal issue, if it comes up in as a legal issue, that means go see a lawyer, go see a legal expert. But if it comes up in some other types of readings, it usually indicates someone that you can count on to give you honest advice. Does my dress make me look fat? Yes, it does. Sorry. So don't ask these people to reflect. If you want to hear only what you want to hear, then go ask the Queen of Cups. She'll tell you what you want to hear. If you want to hear the truth, tell this lady. But remember, it can be cutting, because she'll tell you the truth. Does that make me look fat? Yes. And what does it matter? We're all fat. Or some of us. And so like that, and these are the Libra. Look, she has a big knife there. Oh yeah, she'll cut right to the truth. She'll cut your heart. Yeah, because truth is more important to her than just silly, emotional stuff. Now this is the King of Swords. This is a weird looking King of Swords. So this guy also values truth and justice. A lot of times these guys are scientists or judges. They're Aquarian people. Well, 2/3 of the Aquarians. They're like that, and they value the truth. They sometimes tend to be a little cold, but they can be very loyal friends as well. Yay for the Aquarians. All right, so here we have the Earth suit, the coins. We have the Ace of Coins. That's pretty. The Two of Coins is about balance, or need to balance resources, etc. The Three of Coins is about, working together to affect something. In the traditional, this almost has a Three of Cups flavor to it, but this is working together, and one of the common meanings or titles for the Three of Coins is the Master Craftsman, and whereas the Eight of Coins is the Apprentice. But this one is the Master Craftsman. So when this comes up for me, I always, that person I'm reading for is usually looked at as an expert in some field. People look for her or his guidance. At work, for example, team leader. With fours, all the fours, with the number 4, there's the feeling of stability. And that seems to be somewhat okay for the active suits, the wands, which is fire, and the swords, which is air. Those are active elements, active suits. The passive suits, they like they don't like so much to have that type of structure. For example, the money needs to flow. Money is more of a thought than, we can have physical coins, but what do they represent? It's more of a thought of the flow of money. And when money is structured in a box, it doesn't flow. And it doesn't flow, it doesn't grow, it doesn't all of that. So when that happens, it usually indicates some sort of need to marshal your forces to rein in something. This is often termed the Miser card. The Five of Coins is the card of being in need, is being in lack. So a lot of times we can see around us where we can get help. but it's a lack, being in need. So if you did a reading, you said, how's my love going to be for such and such, and if this comes up, then there's going to be some sort of something missing, lacking, and it could be through lacking of feelings of security in a relationship. A lot of times, security is money. Money can't buy love, but it can sure buy security. And the Six of Coins here, and is usually about being generosity. Well, I guess nothing can be more generous than a mother's love for her child. Her parents' love. They'll sacrifice anything, especially a mother, and a father too, sacrifice anything for the well-being of their child. At least that's the way it should go. Seven of Coins is usually a card of assessment, of just taking stock. So there they have a ship, a movement. And then we have this fellow and someone going down the tunnel there, maybe towards enlightenment. So they, figuratively, I guess, going down. But it's usually as trying to assess. But that's based really on rider and that their stock or standard meanings, which is a good, served me well for 40 years. Eight of Coins, this is again working. This is the apprentice, working and making money. It's a pretty card. Don't recognize the image. And the Nine of Coins is about independence, not relying on anybody. You're there. Right, the nines are the last of the numbers. And it's the completion. 10 is the start of a new phase. It's a 1 and a 0. So 9 is the end of the road sort of here, and this is someone who's attained financial security all through themselves, not relying on anybody. That's the flavor of the Nine of Coins or Nine of Pentacles. There was also another flavor I found with this card, and that's loneliness. That often you see that the people that do attain it at the expense sometimes of their emotional, their emotional aspects, and a lot of times they are alone. There's a loneliness. I guess it's lonely at the top. 10 of Coins is a card of wealth, a card of, well, that's traditional wealth, but really it's a card of ultimate security, that you don't lack anything, you don't feel insecure about any aspects, especially the physical aspects of your life. Money doesn't buy love, like I said. Money is security. Money buys security. So that's why we have a lot of times the connection between coins and the suit of earth, and why they say coins, money. But it's security. What's this up here? Looks like more iconography, I guess. And I'm not sure. He has flowers on his lap. And he's watching her dance. The Princess of Coins, or the Page of Pentacles, or Page Coins. She looks like she's a statuette. This is interesting, because usually these are the students. They are the new learning the way life is. Learning the way, not so much spiritual life, but practical life. They're just starting out in those aspects. So it's aspects of us when we, first learn to survive in this world, learn how the world works. Lifelong learning there, right? Prince of Coins. Now, this is probably the least exciting of all the knights. All the knights do questing, but this guy or this gal, or the energy, I should say, is more slow, methodical, plodding. sometimes they have to weigh everything before they act. There's no impulsivity here. But there's some good things. There's stability here. There's kindness here. They tend to be very loyal, practical people, practical young people. If I had a young person, a daughter or a son, if say for example if I had a daughter, then I would like for the daughter to date this guy. Dating the Prince or Knight of Cups will lead to heartache. Dating the Knight of Wands, well, fast cars and all that. I would think of danger, and then then we look at the Knight of Swords and brash person and fast as well. So I would say there might be a little danger there too, but we can't live in behind castle walls. But I would pick someone like that. I was hoping she would pick, or he would pick someone like that. Was faithful, kind, dependable, not so exciting, but he gets things done. He gets there. He understands the value of security in his life. So, and a lot of times this is what brings security. The Queen of Coins in my in my astrology, this is Virgo, or 2/3 of the Virgoians, Virgos, OTS. This is the Queen of Coins or Queen of Pentacles. This is in my well, not mine, but in the one I use, it's Capricorn, and she's the lower echelon version of the Empress. So if you understand the Empress cards as being an abundance card, this lady is like that. She gardens. Everything around her grows. She's wonderful, but children love her. She would have many children. She could be a teacher or anything. A nurse, a doctor, anything that would help children or people. He or she would do that. It's Capricornian. Everything they touch grows. So they're healers. Along with a lot of the pentacle or coin people, often they are involved in the health professions somehow. Doctors, dentists, psychologists, mental health people, social counselors, business women, business people, I should say. Here's the King of Money. Wouldn't you love to be the King of Money, the King of Coins, huh? Well, there's a lot in his plate too. That's a nice picture of him, and with the scales. So it all comes down to the matter of the bottom line with the King of Coins. I've found that they, as a profession, can be in the banking profession, but also in the health field. Dentists, doctors, pharmacists, nurses, like anything in the health that help people in either the body or sometimes the mind too, but in the body as well. Remember, these are practical. So chiropractors probably as well. And they are kind, and even though they put the pursuit of security paramount, in many of them do, in their lives, they love their families. These are the workaholics, but in their minds, they're doing it for their families, even though their families are thinking, well, we're here, why are you ignoring us? You're doing it for the money. But that's not how they think. They think that, that's what they truly believe. I'm doing it for all of you. I'm making these sacrifices for you. Anyway, so that's my look at the Transformational Tarot by Arnel Ando with Boy George on the box. It doesn't matter You can't unsee what you see. Anyway, so I hope everyone has a beautiful rest of the day and that you are blessed always. Bye-bye.